A new movie called If just came out, and I am pumped to see it. The cast is genuinely insane. You've got Ryan Reynolds and Steve Carell as main characters. John Krasinski is the director. And boy, oh boy, you won't bet who's here for the music. Michael Giacchino. Yeah, baby. We love Michael Giacchino here. But before I go see it, I want to challenge myself. I want to predict the entire movie based only on the soundtrack. Going into this challenge, I want to clear some things up. 1, I haven't seen the movie yet. After I make my predictions, I'll go to the theaters, I'll go watch it, and then we'll see how I did. 2, all of my knowledge comes from the soundtrack. All the info I have is based off the riffs, the sound of the songs, and the names of the songs. And my goal is to figure out what is going on. What are the major plot events? With that said, let the predictions commence. Start the video. That's what I'm saying. Start the video. Hello, Future Jack here. I didn't realize how in-depth I was going on the predictions, so we're just gonna skip to the summary. It's really all you need, so I guess that's just a waste of like 45 minutes on my part. Okay, take it away, idiot. So to summarize, Cal doesn't believe in ifs. B wants to believe. The ifs show up. The ifs don't want to be forgotten. Cal and B have to help save them. The plan to save them goes wrong. Cal ends up not believing in the ifs. B convinces him to believe anyway. The ifs go back into people's imagination, and then boom, happily ever after. Now let's explain why all of these plot events make sense based off the soundtrack. The If soundtrack has 3 major riffs. Riffs are essentially just repeated pieces of music that you hear again and again. Take Weezer, for example. Anyway, in If specifically, riff 1 sounds like this. Riff 2 sounds like this. And the third sounds like this. Except this third theme doesn't exactly matter all that much because it's probably just playing when characters are introduced. It's not a big deal. At least that's my guess. These riffs play in a number of songs found throughout the movie. So based on where they play, we can infer some meaning of the sounds. My guess is that when riff 1 plays, Cal is leaning towards believing. On the other hand, when the generally sad riff 2 plays, Cal is leaning against it. Therefore, these 2 riffs cover these 2 plot points. Next up, let's cover specific song titles. The first keynote song is called One Man's Hospital is Another Girl's Pain. Assuming that this man is the man and this girl is the girl, then I think it's pretty safe to assume that Cal, the man in the hospital, is preventing B, the one with pain, from experiencing imaginary things, I guess. It's a hunch. It's just a hunch. All of this is a hunch. Shut up, bird. So if my hypothesis there is true, then that means that this point can be knocked off. Real quick, let's get this one out of the way. The movie is called If. If ifs don't show up, then something's wrong. The next song to consider is called Don't Get Imaginaried Away, or Don't Get Carried Away. It's a pun. Funny. Haha. Using some inside-out logic here, if an imaginary friend is forgotten, they die. So this title, Don't Get Imaginaried Away, seems to indicate that the ifs are scared of getting imaginaried away. Dying. So it seems apparent that their motives for showing up, their problem is that they don't want to be forgotten. Boom. That's another point taken care of. The next question is 1, if Cal and B want to help the ifs, and 2, if they physically can. Based on the song called Brief Interviews with Fastidious Friends, it's implied that a team is being made. If there's a team being made, then that means that there's a plan going on. Usually teams get stuff done, unless they're my 2nd grade soccer team. But in this case, since these characters are part of a team, it's likely that they are helping the ifs. So boom, we got another point. But then suddenly, disaster strikes. And you want to know how I know? Because there's a song called He Totally Blew It. And I assume in this song, somebody totally, well, blew it, so. If Cal was the main driver of the plan to save the ifs, and then the song is called He, being Cal, totally blew, being the ifs, it, then it means that the plan has failed. So this is probably going to end up being the emotional climax where Cal stops believing in the ifs. So this helps us with 2 things. Now we know that the plan does go wrong, and the fact that Cal actually doesn't believe. Next up, based on the title If Win Statement, it becomes clear that somebody has to convince Cal to come back to the ifs, and who better than B? So if the song is called If Win Statement, that means the ifs win, and to do that you need Cal to believe, which means B has to convince him to do so. It just makes sense. Finally, that leaves us with the last part, the conclusion. There's 2 songs, The Lost City of B and Calvin and Jobs. And both of these songs suggest one thing. The ifs go back to their imaginers' own minds. Or something. I don't know. B is able to enter her own lost city, while Cal is now able to go further in life with his reignited friendship with Blue. The end. Other than the main plot, there are a few random things that I just want to predict for the sake of predicting, so let's do that real quick. One, I think flowers are going to be super important. They're going to be a metaphor in some way for growing up. I'm basing that off the balance of flower. Two, Benjamin. Whoever he is, he's important to the story. I don't know how, but in some way he relates to the flower metaphor and growing up. And my guess is that he's super similar to Cal, except he gets flowers or something. I don't know. Three, I think Blue is going to cause a lot of the problems in the story. He's going to be completely and utterly insane. The term "one blew over the cuckoo's clock" indicates that somebody has gone insane, and there's a song called "One Blew," haha, funny pun, over the cuckoo's clock. Oh shoot, it's nest, not clock. Doesn't matter. Four, there's gonna be one "that's what she said" joke. Come on, it's Steve Carell and John Krasinski. There's gotta be one. And finally, my last prediction, I think Blue fake dies. Or like gets imaginaried away. I have nothing to base this on, I'm just saying, it's probably gonna happen. With all the predictions made, it's time to go watch the movie. I'm gonna go watch it, and then we'll see how I did. Alright, I'm home. Let's compile the results. We've got 3 categories. Right, kind of right, and wrong. So let's go prediction by prediction. Prediction 1, Cal doesn't believe. Straight up wrong. By the way, this is where the spoilers begin. So the ending of the movie revealed that Cal was an if. So he can't not believe in ifs because he is one. So, oopsie daisies. My second prediction was that Cal, later on in the movie, after he begins to believe in the ifs, stops. That there, surprisingly, is half right. Cal's goal was to be remembered by B, but throughout the movie, he starts to believe that he can't do it. Therefore, he technically stops believing in ifs. Half right. My next prediction didn't go as well. B wants to believe. Straight up wrong. There's literally no other way to say it. She just didn't believe. Plus, the song that I based this off, "One Man's Hospital is Another Girl's Pain," actually related to a man in a hospital and the girl's pain. So, nice. My next guess, although boring, if show up was correct. The ifs did show up. If you want an actually kind of impressive prediction, it's that ifs don't want to be forgotten. That one was 100% spot on. Shout out to Inside Out. The rules of the movie were a little unclear what actually happens to ifs if they're forgotten, but hey, I was right in that they don't want to be forgotten. So, I'ma take it. The next one was another knock out of the park. I said that the main characters, B and Cal, have to decide if they actually want to help the ifs. And that's exactly what happened. There was a little bit of struggle to decide if it was worth doing because, you know, it's kind of weird helping out a big purple thing. Or so, I don't know. I was right though. The next thing I said is that the plan fails. And again, right. Albeit, there were a lot of plans in the movie, and a lot of them failed, but the plan failed, so I'm good. I did say that this was going to be the emotional climax of the movie, which was wrong. It was just kind of a part of the natural flow of the story. So, in that way I was wrong, but the plan failed, and that's what I said, so it's right. The next prediction was that B convinces Cal to believe in ifs. I'm gonna give myself some technically right points. Since Cal was B's imaginary friend, B convincing Cal to believe in ifs was B saying, "Hey, I believe in you, you're my imaginary..." I was right, okay? We'll just give me the point. I'm not going in depth. Watch the movie. You'll understand. The next prediction was that the ifs return to owners. 100% correct, baby. Doesn't get more right than that. The entire ending of the movie was all of the ifs returning to their owners. There was actually like a whole montage showing this happening, so I was more than right. I should give myself 2, but I'm being nice. So all of these results right here are for the major predictions. But what about the minor ones? There was a metaphor relating to flowers, and it was about growth. Could not be more right. That being said, Benjamin. Benjamin did in fact relate to the flower metaphor, but he had no relation to Cal, so half right. The next prediction, although kind of lame, was right. Blue was insane. I'll take the pity points. Now, unfortunately, the last 2 were wrong. There was no "that's what she said" jokes, and Blue did not fake die. So all of these things, this means that I got 9 out of 14. 64%. So really all this statistic means is that the video you just watched, only about 60% of it was right. So anyways, here's what we've learned. You can actually get a surprising amount of information from the soundtrack. And 2, I'm a genius. I am full on a genius. You couldn't have done it without me. I'm just that awesome. Anyway, time to end this video. If you like this format of video, please let me know. This was actually pretty fun to make, and I'd be happy to do it again with some other movie. And then secondly, there is no secondly. Goodbye.